we have brought the time machine back forward a few years from our last episode to the 1982-83 season. This is a season we haven't looked at too many times during these hypotheticals, but Dario and I both thought it was important to come back to this particular season because there's a lot of relevant teams and a lot of relevant centers for the Diesel to come up with, to go up against, rather.
And we should hit like all of the 80s dynasties. So probably makes sense.
Shit. By all of them, you mean what? 2, 3?
So you got 3 here,
2?
and we're gonna get 3 later because we're gonna go to the
80s.
Yeah.
I look at the franchises as one collective. I was like, what do you mean? 2 dynasties? Celtics, Lakers? It's about
well, a lot of people talk about the 76ers in Detroit in this time as well.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. But we are bringing the 2000-2001 LA Lakers, the second championship of Shaquille O'Neal, and we got to look at. You want to start with MVP or?
Yeah, well, let's start with standing first. Where do we see that? Because that will kind of feed into the MVP after.
Go into it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
what do you
only 160 win team being the Fofo Sixers.
Yeah.
Lakers only 58-24 this year. The West is
pretty competitive.
As I was about to say, there's not a solid 60-win team, but it looks like there's solid competition throughout the entire main portion of the conference. I got this Laker team. See, this is the hard part. I feel like I'm going to run into this every single time we bring them to a new season. It's so hard to judge the regular season Lakers because of all the fucking drama that happened to them during this actual year.
Yeah.
Which fucks with their win-loss record in the moment. And I feel like that needs to be reflected here. Because I think if I'm just looking at the team as a whole, I think it's a 60-win ball club, for sure. But
if you take into consideration both the 2000 and the 2001 Lakers combined, I think that's like where their real peak is, like both regular season and postseason. But if we're talking about just the 2001 Lakers, like for me, I probably had them as the second seed, probably winning around the same amount of games that they won in 01, so 56. I think
that's what they were at the beginning, right? I think they're 58 wins, but I'm not sure. I got to check.
No, they're 56. Yeah.
56. I think you're right.
Because they were second to the Spurs, who were 58 as well.
Yeah, you're right. 56-26. Yeah, I feel like 56 to 58 wins is realistic. They're not going to be lower than the 2 seed in the West, though.
Yeah. Well, when you say lower, you mean like they're either first or second, you're saying?
Yeah, they're going to be right here. They're going to squeak right in here, right in between the Lakers and the Spurs here.
And I feel like
it's just crazy because, like, I feel like if chemistry-wise they got together, I think this could easily be a 60-win team, like I said.
Like the peak of West. Like once they hit the playoffs, like the peak, like they would definitely be a 60-win club in this era. I think, but if we want,
I agree,
do it as realistic as that season because we before bringing any other teams in the future, like in the future or the past or whatever, we never brought up previous seasons, so we can't bring up the 2000 season, even though we've seen like what they can be, and then
right.
Yeah.
It's got to reflect. Also, the 3-ball, virtually non-existent in 82-83. Nobody's taking more than 4.
Yeah,
the Lakers didn't shoot that many, but I think they shot like 10, right?
They shot 16.
16. So they would easily be shooting way more threes. This would be like a 2021 team going 20 years back. Yeah. It's the same level of jump in terms of 3-point shooting, which I think will help their winning.
15, 16, and they made about 4 or 5. So it is going to be like they are going to have an advantage in that end versus these 80s teams, I think.
So I think it's realistic. It's just assuming they still spread the floor like that's going to matter.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going
you
to
would
matter.
assume that well, they have to because it's part of their game plan. Like that's
Yeah.
part of what that Laker team did. Like, but that's getting too much into the we can't we that we
I was
always
about to say I'm kind of talking myself into the 60 wins. You know what? I think I am going to go 60 wins. I think I take it back. I think I am going to go 60 wins for this Laker team. Now that I looked at the 3-point shooting,
you got them the 1 seed.
Yeah, I think they could make the 1 seed for sure.
I got them second. Like I already had them in my head. That was gonna be the same, probably 58. Like this Laker team, the '83 Laker team is gonna be like the Spurs, have that 58 wins. This Laker team gonna have the 56, and we're gonna go into the playoffs, and we're gonna do what we do, man. You know what we do. We know. But
considering the standings, now let's look at MVP, because we got Moses Malone, who just got to Philadelphia, right, and led the Sixers to the Sixers have been relevant this entire time since they got Dr. J from the ABA. Yeah. They've been relevant. They've made a couple of NBA finals, but Moses is the piece that really gets them over the hump.
Yeah.
And they show it in terms of absolute dick slapping during the fucking regular season with 65 wins. Moses Malone's third MVP. So underrated, this guy. Nobody talks about him. Third MVP. He has more offensive rebounds. I think he's got double the offensive rebounds than the guy in second place all time.
Yeah, that's pretty.
It's something absurd.
He's not talked about because of the way he scored. Like I feel like obviously, like you look at a guy like Will and stuff like that. Like the way he scored was more of like at least attacking. Like with this is like you get an offensive rebound, getting a putback. Like it's not really like the sexiest. You know what I mean?
Look at this. Moses Malone, 7,382 offensive rebounds for his career. Artis Gilmore's in second with under 5,000. That is crazy. That is fucking crazy to me.
That is insane. Like the closest from would probably be the closest is Dennis Rodman. The last the most within the last 30 years.
Shaq's in here too, Barkley.
Yeah. No, I know, but I'm saying like out of
Dwight Howard is the closest.
Oh yeah,
41-50. 41-51.
Like in the last 30 years, like the player to like peak to that area of. But there was also, I mean, the field goal percentage and stuff like isn't as bad as like in the 60s.
True. So, very true. Yeah, that's a good question.
What year is Moses Malone in his career?
Another good question. He's 27 right now. So he's right in the meat of his. He's actually kind of like he's going to play a long time. He's one of those guys that played a really, really, really long time, as you can see by all the jerseys he's got going on here.
Yeah.
Almost 1,500 games played. But his prime lasts till he's putting up double-double till he's 34.
Jeez. Yeah, that's pretty
so he's right in the meat of his prime. He came from Houston, where he was averaging like insane rebound numbers, leading the league in rebounds throughout this entire period. Yeah. Just underrated for his dominance. Like he's like Andre Drummond on Mega Crack.
Yeah,
it's the only way to describe it.
Yeah. And it looks like the voters, he destroyed in first place votes.
Yeah, he did. Slapped him up. Like the voters looked at him coming to Philly and said, "You are the difference. It is you. It is because of you."
Yeah, 100%.
Straight up.
Dr. J, I think he's what? I thought I saw fifth. He was like. Oh, he's okay. Yeah.
He's fifth here in MVP voting. 32 years old. He's at the very end of his prime. This is going to be one of his last. Solid all-star caliber years for Dr. J.
Yeah. So I think if Shaq gets thrown into the mix, he would probably still be second.
I agree. I don't think you can take it from Moses.
Yeah.
Even if I have 60 wins, like what I was saying.
Yeah, like even if they had 60 Shaq would have the second or third best record, like depending on who's, like you have Shaq's team first in the West. I have him second. So anywhere between two to three seed in the entire conference. And then you got Shaq obviously fighting the Kobe situation too, because in reality they're both averaging almost 29 points that year. They're probably gonna do similar. So I think that pulls them back, obviously. Especially when you're looking at Moses, 25, 15. You got Julius Irving, Julius Irving averaging 25, 7, and 4. Kobe's gonna obviously be outdoing the numbers.
What did Shaq average in this season?
29 and 13.
28 and 12. So he'd be leading the league in scoring, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he will.
At 28.7 points per game. Yeah, he would be winning the scoring title. I don't think he'd be leading the league in rebounds, but I think he would have more. I think he would have more than the 12 rebounds it says. I think he'd have between 13 and 14 just because of the way they're playing.
You could also say that both him and Kobe would be averaging 30 at this point in time because the pace goes up by almost 13.
I could see. Does it really? The average pace goes up 13. Yeah, it's true that the 001 was at slower pace for sure.
Yeah, I think it's not. I know the Lakers pace is at least at 91. I think the average pace for here is 103, but I might be wrong.
So your average pace is 103. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
that makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, the highest pace in 01 I think was like 103 or something like that. It wasn't that. Wasn't that,
it's historically an incredibly. It's something I bring up all the time on this program.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that means they're both getting 30. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
And that's crazy to have like the number 1 scorer and the number 2 scorer be in one team.
Facts.
Like
facts.
And mind you, because the 3-point shooter at that point is gonna like, they're gonna be like, what the fuck? Like this team is all over the place because you gotta, because either way, Shaq we've talked about this his entire career. He is like a magnet when it comes to the paint. Like you're gonna have to double Shaq. Now you're kicking out to these guys, and you're gonna probably have to double Kobe too, especially in this time frame. Like you're gonna be eating all of them motherfuckers alive, you know. So it's gonna be a lot of double teams between the two. Open threes for Fisher, Horry, Rick Fox. Like they might even average more threes because they're gonna be taking more shots. Like if they were doing 16 threes a game, 15 to 16, I think it was like 15 and a half. With a pace of 91, imagine if
I get where you're coming from.
Like it's just
I get where you're coming from. You're not wrong.
But I think Shaq still doesn't get MVP. But
give me a stat line though. Give me a final stat line for Shaq.
For Shaq,
so what do you think it?
I'm gonna go like 31 and 13, 31, 13, 31, 14, something like that.
That's not bad.
Yeah, and I
couple blocks.
I probably got Kobe at 29 and 30. With 7 or 8 assists, 5 or 6 rebounds. Because I think this year is like his highest assist year. I want to say. Yeah, he's at. And
especially come playoff time for sure. Yeah, I think I have Shaq around the same, like 32 and 13 with 2 blocks a game, shooting 60%.
Yeah.
Just it's crazy when you. I always forget to incorporate the pace. And I'm glad we're doing that here because I think it's super important because we're taking a team from the historic lowest or slowest time in the NBA's history and bringing them to a faster pace. Because even in the late 80s, it's going to get even faster.
Yeah, for sure. It's like the late 80s pace is like the mid to late 2015 to 2020 pace. Like that's how fast.
Just with less threes.
Yeah. 100%.
Well, yeah, I think I have Moses as the MVP also, but Shaq's again. He's absolutely second, and I think he steals some MVP votes from Moses.
Yeah,
not like a ton. I still think Moses wins.
Yeah,
but I think Shaq gets like 15 to 20 first place votes.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Because there's no way you go into a league with Shaq. That Shaq is playing in the league, and you think someone is clear cut the best player in the world. Like. It took a while for that, like people to even like as they were watching Shaq, it took them to like that 07, 08 season or something for them to be like, all right, Shaq is finally done. Like you know what I mean? Like people were like delusional for the longest. We've seen reports and everything, like people just saying like Shaq is still the best player in the league, and it's like what the fuck are y'all talking about? But
what drug are you on?
Yeah.
Can I have some?
Yeah.
Fucking.
So, quick question, because I think
Okay.
this is important for the series and stuff. So, defensive player of the year, Kobe falls in like I think Shaq is a top 5 in defensive player of the year voting this year, and Kobe's in a top 10. Like,
Okay.
where do you see them falling in this year? Because Sidney Moncrief is the first guard, right?
Yeah, I believe you're right.
So, do you think he's at least up to that level? Because I know from this point on in Kobe's career, in the next 5 or 6 years, defensive player of the year, he falls in top 5 of those 6 times.
In terms of defensive rating and like defensive metrics, they're not very high at all this year.
Yep. Yeah, this is that one. Remember when I think we talked about this before. Every championship team, at least within the last 20 to 30 years, have been a top 5 defensive team besides that Laker team. I think it's top 10.
And I know for a fact, come playoff time, that flips.
Oh,
which
for sure.
I'd actually like to look at that in terms of like where they ranked for the entire postseason, because I don't think I can have them. Yeah, they're top 3 in opponent points per game at almost under 90.
Yeah, and they played them all of them, obviously.
They're allowing the second lowest field goal percentage.
I really would say they were second because the number 1 team only played 4 games. So
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
So they totally flip it. But for the regular season, I don't think you can have those guys in the discussion.
No, I agree.
Nearly the same way.
I do still think, because can you go to the awards for 2001?
Yes.
Because I'm just saying, like, even with the
23rd, yeah, Shaq's down here at 8th.
Yeah, Shaq's
Kobe's here tied for 11th. Like, they're not getting a ton of points here.
Yeah, but even with that, like, I feel like when you move them back, like, they would look even better, like in that era. Personally, like, Kobe doesn't have many guards to worry about in that era, versus obviously he's going against AI, T-Mac.
Yeah, but also to be considered for that award, though, you got to be a top 10 team defense. Like, defensive player of the year is so much more of a team award than like most of these other awards. And a lot of that comes down to like what your team defensive rating is and shit like that. And even going back, I just don't. I don't think they're in the running for the argument.
Yeah, I'm not thinking that they'd win the award. I'm just thinking, do you think those 2 are top defenders in the league in that year?
I think when properly motivated, sure. Yeah, and that's something that I want to see when we get into the playoffs, because I think they got some really interesting matchups on a few of these teams here.
Yeah.
For both Kobe and Shaq.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know. I'm really looking forward to putting them through the gauntlet here of some of these hellacious matchups.
I wouldn't say Kobe personally, but that's just
there's matchups on the perimeter for Kobe and down low for Shaq, and we'll get into it. But
that's fire. I wish we would be playing them in the finals, but too bad. We'll see you a little later.
Yeah. So this is going to be troubling because I have 2 Western Conference teams that I want them to go against, but I also have 2 Eastern Conference teams that I want them to go against. So do we want to?
Is because Boston, we're gonna for sure face them later.
Are we?
Yeah, in '87.
Okay. I think that's interesting. I thought about that too, because this Celtics team, right? Let's see, who's on their roster right now. I'm pretty sure it's like rookie Kevin McHale, or almost rookie Kevin McHale. Not starting. Parrish is pretty solid. Larry is okay, but he's heading towards his MVP run. This is the last year before he goes on a 3-peat for MVP.
Still ascending, yeah.
Yeah, we could also.
I just think it's gonna be redundant to go back, because they're gonna be the final boss in '87.
I get what you're saying.
It would have to be,
Okay, all right. So then we're gonna look at San Antonio to start.
Yeah. Obviously, whoever we face in round one, we're gonna be shit down their legs. So let's just act like it's not happening, bro.
But this is what I'm talking about, though. So San Antonio, right? Artis Gilmore, one of the less heralded centers of the era.
Averaged 5 blocks a game that year.
Yeah, he was a savage. He's 7'2", 240, long, big afro
ABA
beast.
though, so we don't respect that, boy. Stop playing. Stop.
But no, when he comes to the NBA, plays for the Bulls, double doubles almost every single year, with 2.5 blocks a game.
Like that don't count.
Hey, he made the All-Star team with them rather.
Yeah, no, I'm messing with you.
Respectable center. I'm trying to build these teams up before we beat them down. All right, you got to build your opponent up, otherwise they lose for no reason. Fucking.
It's boat to ass.
Hey, I didn't know there were 84 games in the ABA season.
Yeah, they were bugging. All right.
No shit. And then you have on the perimeter the Iceman.
George the Iceman.
Really at the tail end of his prime here. But the Iceman, George Gervin, another ABA Hall of Famer, right? Scored lots of points. Then came to the Spurs.
He was 30.
He was a bit, yeah. He was 30 here. That's what I'm saying. Tail end of his prime. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's
still going to score 25 points again next year.
Yeah, he's fire.
Shooting 50%. He averaged 50% shooting for his career, but was very much a around the basket type player, not a serious jump shooter at all. But he loved getting buckets. The master of the finger roll, the Iceman, George Gervin. He could get buckets on absolutely anybody. Another long guy. There's a reason why this team was awesome in the 80s, because both these guys were long. They attacked the basket, and they had to have complemented each other, because even on paper, like, it makes a bunch of sense to me. But
especially like a lot of times these kind of teams get like lost in the sauce, and it's just because like obviously in the Western Conference, like the Lakers just dominated. Like
they did go to the Western Conference Finals, where obviously, like you said, they lost to LA.
Yeah,
but 5 players in double figures in the regular season and in the postseason.
Yeah,
so a pretty consistent scoring load, which is impressive. Like I don't know a lot about this Spurs team, but on paper, it's not very surprising that they what do you call it?
Kind of what the Spurs have done for a while. So
they're first in 3-point attempts with 4 a game. They're first, so ahead of their time, right? Second in field goal percentage, shooting 50% as a team. It's impressive.
So
114 points a game. Solid. On paper, very solid.
Yeah. So quick question. Do you feel like this team in this series is going to feel the need to shoot more threes because of like the way the game's going to be going?
Because you're saying because the Lakers are absolutely going to shoot threes.
Yeah, I'd assume the Lakers are going to have their normal game plan, like how they won a championship in 01 is how they're going to try to, be on point.
I feel like if this team existed in 2000, 2001, I feel like they almost mimic, what do you call it? They almost mimic the Lakers in a lot of ways from a roster standpoint. Like, it's hard to say because there were only so many guys shooting threes at this point in time.
Yeah.
But you have your 2 solid guys, right? And then you build around them with a solid supporting cast. And I feel like they could have shot more threes if they existed 20 years later, and maybe even been a better ball club. Yeah. But they're, George Gervin historically not great for team chemistry. Historically, a very selfish human, at least from a basketball standpoint.
Yeah.
So who knows if they would actually won anything? But I feel like this team is almost too soon. Like I think in a different era, they might be able to do more damage than they did here. But they were just two, like you said, two behemoths at the top of each conference that you had to fuck with.
Yeah, for sure. It was like it goes down to like that Houston team in 2017. Like that Houston team was really good, but then they had to go against the Warriors. It's like they're probably gonna be a forgotten about team. Could you check real quick in 2001, like what the Lakers averaged in 3-point shooting during the playoffs?
Got you right now. So 15 a game. So basically the same numbers that they put up.
Oh, is that in the playoffs?
Yes, this is the playoff summary.
Oh, okay. That was perfect.
I got you. I had it already set up.
Oh, so they shot more threes, and they made
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
So that's like.
So you were, to your point, they did ramp it up to an extent.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't expect anything to change, like in terms of the amount of threes they're shooting and stuff. I think they're gonna, because in reality, they could go faster pace in the regular season, but I think in the postseason they're gonna try to slow the game down because
what is their pace in the playoffs?
Yeah, I'd imagine it's slower. If it's not,
everybody's is slower. Jesus, the average is 89.
Oh wow, they went up a little bit.
No, it's 92.
Yeah, but
they sped up a little bit.
91 in the regular season, I think.
Yeah, they sped up just a cut here.
Yeah,
but
I'd assume it's something similar. Like I can't imagine that they're gonna change it too much just because of the era. And I'm pretty sure all of these teams slow their pace down in the regular season. I mean, in the postseason.
They are in the playoffs in the postseason. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can get that information too. Yeah, the average goes down a few points.
Yeah, like
but the Spurs are still moving pretty fast here at 108. So it is going to be a clash of styles. Like, but I got Shaq at 30 and 15, and I got Kobe at 25, 26, because I think he's going to have to do more on the defensive end to, make sure George Gervin gets like 45% shooting or worse.
Yeah.
And I'll take
George Gervin.
6'7". It's a little bit bigger than Kobe.
Yeah.
6'7" or 6'8". I'll double check. He's skinny guy. 180 pounds, soaking wet.
Oh, okay. It's gonna be that's gonna be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, see what I mean? This is what I was trying to tell you before you were like, oh, there's no matchups on the outside. I'm like, there are on each team, actually.
Yes, all right, so this is my stat line. Shaq's going to average 35 on these motherfuckers.
Okay. I just think Artis Gilmore is a solid defensive threat, but Shaq has dominated a lot of centers in his era, obviously. Yeah. So I was comfortable. It all depends on what the pace is at. If the average pace is 105, then I agree with you. I think he's going to get to 35.
Could you click on Artis Gilmore real quick? I want to see his like stature and stuff, like what he's looking like. He's
7'2", 240.
240. Yeah, that's barbecue chicken. I said for you, Shaq. Don't worry, that's barbecue.
He doesn't have the physical. He has the height, but he doesn't have the girth.
Yeah, I think that's always going to be the biggest issue when going against Shaq, because the way he plays is just different than any other guy that you're going to play against in NBA history. No one plays basketball like football. Like how many actual centers in NBA history would you say? Like even Wilt, he didn't play like that. He played still like a finesse style.
There's a guy we're going to talk about a little later, and we were talking about before, that I think could be on that list that doesn't get talked about, but it's a very short list, to your point.
Yeah.
I think Moses Malone played football with his ass, 100%. Rebounding.
That would be that's going to be like the kind of battle that I'd be looking at.
I'm interested in that.
Yeah, when you're giving me a guy that Shaq almost has 100 pounds on, I just think he's going to eat him every time, especially that Shaq. Like, he was just on people's bumper. And then, Kobe gets to go against another great great guard all time. I got Shaq averaging 35, Kobe averaging 28 on this nigga. Kobe going to just
That's fine. That's fine. It's realistic. I'm cool with that.
And I think we're going to beat him in 5. I'll give them 5.
5, yeah, that's what I had. I had 5 games. I'm giving this Spurs team a game for sure, where everybody in the Lakers locker room's yelling at each other. Shaq and Kobe are trying to fight for some reason.
Yeah, I guess. Well, no, remember,
and then they come back
at this point.
But then they come back and it's Kumbaya and they rape face.
So, yeah. And then not to mention the 3-point disparity is still going to be like, because you got to think about it. If we're making 15 more points off of threes, that is a huge gap that you have.
It's going to be a huge gap. Yeah.
And then now you're going to, you down 15 with the threes. And then now you also have the automatic 2-point bucket in Shaq.
Right.
Like, it just becomes very difficult when it's like math now.
We're talking math.
Yeah.
Fucking
and then they're gonna start chucking threes, and they might not be as efficient, obviously, because they were only taking 4 threes a game, and then now they're like, all right, I gotta chuck threes to try to get back. And we're about to start walling out. We're gonna beat them by 50 every game. We out. Right. Yeah. Peace out. It's dirty ass Spurs. I still feel weird about y'all motherfuckers, man. We don't
Deuces Spurs. I want to learn more about this Spurs team because I feel like they're underrated in the annals of history. I want to know. I want to know more about them. But we move on to one of our main events. The LA Lakers, the 82-83 Lakers, led by Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Obviously, with others. This was a very deep team, such as Bob McAdoo, former MVP of the league, giving him 15 points a game off the bench. James Worthy, who's a rookie, 13 points a game off the bench. Norm Nixon's still there. Jamal Wilkes, 20 points a game on 53% shooting. And this is a very, very good basketball team.
How do they do in the playoffs?
They make
I know Kareem steps it up.
Finals. They make the finals and they go against the Sixers.
What the
But from a playoff standpoint, Kareem steps it the fuck up.
Yeah.
Raises his points per game from 21 to 27.
Yeah.
Which is fucking sick.
Well, that was one of those that's load managing really started then.
He was at the forefront of load management.
Yeah.
Like, he was doing load management 20 years before almost anybody.
And he was smart. Look at him. Like, if you look at all that he's surrounded around is young talent. Like, look at that. You got Magic still in, like, real early in his career. Norm Nixon's right in the prime of his career. Even Bob McAdoo, he's still at the tail end. Like, it was, like, really smart. Like, and Kareem had it set up perfectly.
32 minutes a game during the regular season, 39 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Really did save himself for when it counted.
Yeah.
And I would say, despite being 35, still a legitimate force in the league, 100%. Which is kind of crazy to say.
He averaged 4 blocks a game in the regular season and the playoffs.
Staggering.
Yeah. That's fire.
Badass man. And then you got Magic during the playoffs now, 18 and 13 with 8.5 rebounds, 2.3 steals, 48.5% shooting.
Yeah.
This team was awesome. This team was really, really good. Obviously super fast. 10th in the league in pace at 104.
Yeah.
Second in scoring, 115 points a game.
And this is going to be another one of those clash of styles because it's definitely one thing.
Shot almost no threes. Shot less than 100 threes for the season as a team.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So
that's unheard of.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I think this Laker team doesn't want to do. Like, so the the 83 Lakers don't want to slow down the pace versus the 01 Lakers. All they want to do is just speed it up and make Shaq start running.
Yes.
And obviously
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, with Magic Johnson running the point, you'd hope that they'd, really try to push that effort. But the only thing is, I don't know if Kareem is as effective if they're not sped up. Right? Like, Kareem
is as effective if they're not sped up?
I'm saying...
You're saying he's more effective in the half court or more effective in transition?
He's more effective in the half court. So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, okay. I agree.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, if you try to run like just pretty much speed the game up a lot, versus this Laker team, you might not be setting up Kareem as much, which I think he's still the focal point of their offense.
I wish there were transition stats. Like I would love to know how many of these 27 points he got per game in the playoffs were like off cherry picking.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I don't know. But I'm assuming he's not really cherry picking because he got averaging four blocks a game, so he's in that paint, like protecting the paint for sure. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't imagine you pick.
So they're probably moving at lightning speed whenever somebody misses a shot, and then whenever somebody makes a shot, they dribble it up and they give it to Kareem as the first option.
And then obviously whenever they go on a fast break, see they might not get it, which doesn't happen too often with this Showtime team. But
yeah,
then they'll just slow down the pace, slow it down, get Kareem set up, and then he'll be their automatic bucket.
Give me a stat line for Shaq.
Oh, Shaq, 100%. I'm not even trying to be stupid. Shaq is averaging 40 on Kareem, and this is my reason.
Wow,
because one, Shaq is that type of person that he's going against Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Like that's the he probably still has something against him because in the future Kareem talked shit about him, so he still got that. You gotta win championships instead of complaining. Remember that? So he might want to eat Kareem alive. I still feel like those memories should stay in these these futuristic people's heads because I think he's gonna give him like a 40-piece for sure. Like whatever he did in the.
Do you think it's also because? Do you think Kobe's gonna average less here? Because the Lakers definitely have a ton of bodies to throw at Kobe between Magic, Mike. That's the first person I was going to bring up after Magic would be Michael Cooper for his defense, just amazing.
Well, I wouldn't think Magic if Magic Johnson.
No, but he's just big. Like I'm thinking also of what Magic was able to like.
I don't know if Magic Johnson is guarding Kobe. Kobe and Shaq averaging 40 together.
No, but also going down the floor on the other end, Kobe's going to have to guard Magic, and there's not 100% that's going to work out great due to a massive size difference.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that. I still am not 100% sure if that would be the case. I don't know if they'd want Kobe to guard Magic.
No, I don't think they would. I don't think they would. I also don't think they'd want Magic guarding Kobe. Like I think they'd just give him to Michael Cooper for sure.
Yeah.
And Michael Cooper would definitely be playing and starting those series against.
I think that honestly, for me, I feel like this could go 7 games either way.
Okay.
The only thing that I think is the big advantage for the 2001 Lakers is the 3-point shooting. I think that is like even if the fast breaks are amazing with the 83 Laker team, which I don't know. Like I just feel like great championship teams usually are good on transition defense. Like you're not gonna just let somebody like kill you in the fast break, but that's the way that they'd be able to catch up. But with the threes, like in reality, they're literally making 6 because they're making 6 threes a game in the playoffs. It's probably going to be the same here. Like that's 18 points right there. Like the
also going back to what they were doing. Like obviously they were doing transition basketball anyways. Were the Showtime Lakers, but kind of like what you were saying before about getting Shaq to move up and down the court. If Shaq's got the ball, which he's going to have most of the time, and he goes for a jump hook and he misses, naturally you want to get that ball to the other side as fast as you can while you have an open lane to the cup.
Yeah.
And that part of it is interesting. Like if Shaq doesn't shoot 60%, it's almost he's giving up points on the other end.
There's
by
no evidence
missing.
that he wouldn't though. Like
no, I'm not suggesting he wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not suggesting he wouldn't.
Like it's too tough for him not to. Like, and mind you, because this is the part that I feel like kind of honestly, I'm starting to lean 01 Lakers in 6, but this is the reason. Kareem's 35. All right, you're 35.
Right.
Sure, he's still like right at the tail end of like when I think he's like, because this is the highest. I think at this point, this is the highest playoff average he has until 87, isn't it? Maybe I know
I
87
can
in
tell
the
you.
finals he averaged 27, but I don't know if he. I think this might be his peak towards the end of his career, like in the playoffs. So
I
yeah,
feel like that. Yeah, that
27.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah,
Led the entire NBA in scoring for the playoffs, which is kind
yeah,
of crazy
yeah. And
at 35.
the crazy part is with a slower pace, both Kobe and Shaq averaged 29. So
Right.
it's like for sure you're getting your 30 from both of them, right? But I just think the physicality of Shaq, like Shaq's in his prime, a wild animal at this point.
Right.
And you got an older guy, like he's this Kareem is old in the NBA at this point. Like that's old
Yeah.
for like no one had really done this really, right? Like I think at this point, like both Kareem and Will retired like around this age.
Yeah.
Like so with Shaq being so physical in the paint, I think that wears Kareem down for sure. And I'm not sure if he still averages that 27 a game against Shaq.
Interesting. I
Because
feel
like
like
that's a physical toll on your body, like to have to try to stop this big ass ogre. Like this is Shrek. Like he's facing Shrek and trying to like
yeah,
and he's banging with Shrek for like 40 minutes a game. Like that's a
that's
lot.
why I personally have the 0-1 Lakers in 6 games. Because I just feel like, to your point, Shaq is in these 3 years, and yes, to a certain extent in Orlando, but these 3 years,
Yeah.
he is a physical freak that has no problem moving up and down the court with ease, highly motivated, dunking on everybody who's in front of him.
Yeah.
And the 80s haven't seen anybody like that.
Like it was just like that was like he was bullying the shit out of people. And it was
like Wilt was nice about it on the court in comparison to how Shaq is.
100%.
Like Shaq is so unapologetically physical with his game, and a 35-year-old Kareem, if Kareem at 35 has nothing to give Shaq, then there's literally no answer on the rest of the team. I don't even think they have another serious 7-footer.
Yeah, but it's just that like let's say because I really do think if you're gonna think about one of those two wearing down over the course of the series, I 100% am looking at Kareem to he's 100 pounds lighter than Shaq. Like literally, Shaq is 325. Like that's just gonna be way too much for Kareem.
The heaviest person on the Lakers by listed metrics is 100 pounds less than Shaq.
Exactly. And
this rookie is not playing, or this for sophomore is not playing. Get the fuck out of here.
And not to mention, like, now you got Shaq dominating, right? You're gonna need Kareem's your main source of offense. Like, even though it's all around, he's the focal point. But then you also have 16 points from threes or whatever, 18 points from threes that you have to deal with as well. Because that matters so much. Because at some point after he's dominating Kareem, they're going to double team him, and now you're going to get those easy threes.
How do you keep Kareem out of foul trouble also?
Yeah.
How do you keep him out of foul trouble?
This was the
Shaq dunk-ons, like
physical, like they're not going
to... I still think, how do you keep him out of... Like, if Kareem's averaging 4.1 fouls in this era, going against Shaq, who was averaging 10 free throws a game in a slower era.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you... and considering Kareem's the only one who has the physical dimensions to stay in front of him, I don't know.
And
it just seems unlikely.
You really need, especially with this Laker team, like you need to be able to stop Shaq, like in order to have any sort of a chance. Like even if you could stop Kobe and you can't stop Shaq, like Shaq is 100% what makes this team go at this point. Like Kobe's like this is what makes them a championship team. I think Shaq is, you know what I mean? Like so it's if you can't stop Shaq, it becomes extremely difficult to beat this Laker team. And I think he literally got like with his motivation, I think that would be one of the most motivated Shaqs ever to face a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, like in the Western Conference Finals. Like, I see him eating them alive.
Lindsay, who do you have? Curious.
Hang on, I was trying to find the button.
Yeah.
I have the Shaq and Kobe Lakers winning.
How many games?
Let's do 6 games.
And why?
That's really difficult for me to answer. It's just a gut feeling. I feel like I don't know. How do you answer that? It's all
hypothetical.
Yeah, like it's just my gut feeling. I don't know how to answer that one. I just feel like maybe it's my bias because I really like Magic Johnson and I don't want to like pretend in this hypothetical world that he's gonna get his ass kicked.
It won't be him getting his ass kicked. It'll be Kareem.
Yeah, I know, but like his team will be getting their ass kicked, and that makes me sad, even though it's not real.
I definitely think it's going to be a competitive series. I can't imagine.
See, I can imagine a world where it's not so competitive. There's absolutely a world where it's not super competitive, and like I feel like I'm giving them 6 games to respect them, but we just laid out a absolute perfect plan.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a way for the Lakers to really make it competitive if they're not going to shoot. I feel like the answer is to shoot threes, but they're not doing that.
They don't have that though. Like that, and that's they don't really. That's not what they were. Just attack the basket kind of
and get as many field goals up as possible. Like what's their total field goals taken? Yeah, number 1 in the league. That's what I thought. For total field goals made and attempted, they're in the top 10. Like, I just find it incredibly hard to imagine a team being competitive with this Laker team that's not going to shoot. And as we keep going through this time machine, you'll see 3-point shooting start to come up more and more and more the further we get down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so on paper, I have the Lakers, the Shaq and Kobe Lakers in 6. But if you told me it was 5, I don't know if I'd have a big argument for you. I really don't.
Yeah. Because I'm like, and we're strictly talking about Shaq's motivations. I think Kobe's motivation to destroy Magic Johnson will be another thing too. This is Shaq's hypothetical, not Kobe, so I'm not doing that.
I'm proud of you. Yeah, you're doing good.
I'm controlling myself, so
yeah, I'm proud. I'm so proud. So now we're in the NBA Finals versus the Philadelphia 76ers. Those faux Sixers.
Yeah.
You know why they call them that?
Because they swept. Well, supposedly they're supposed to have swept every team, but they didn't.
Yeah, because Moses Malone was interviewed and they said they asked Moses, "Hey, what do you predict?" He goes, "We going faux. That's what we doing. Faux.
Yeah.
On their fucking asses.
We were actually closer to doing the faux. Oh ass motherfucker, and it was faux. Yeah. Stop playing. All right.
Both teams, the Lakers and the 76ers, have a 1-loss playoff record.
Yeah. And funny thing, Russell, in 01, who did the Lakers play?
The 76ers. I didn't even.
And then 83, who did the Sixers play?
The Lakers.
Like nothing changed except something.
It's like a world of irony.
Yeah, except something.
Except what?
Something's gonna change.
Something's gonna change. Yeah. Something's gonna change. I think this is a really competitive matchup. Another inside-outside threat. We talked about Moses Malone already, 3-time MVP now, who 25 a game in the regular season, 26 and 16 in the playoffs with a steal and a half and 2 blocks a game, shooting 53%. Dr. J, who is leaving. This is like the last serious year of his prime, but not the same Doc that we saw in the 70s, who is arguably one of the 10 greatest players ever.
Yeah.
Like, there's people will definitely
top 15.
Yeah, he's undoubtedly top 15, but like this ABA stuff, regardless of whether it's ABA or not, this is Giannis-esque right here.
Yeah.
29, 12, and 5, 2.5 steals and 2 blocks a game, shooting 50% in his peak.
Yeah.
Straight Giannis numbers.
Yeah.
And had a lot of success. It just, won some championships in the ABA, made the finals twice in the NBA. And this is his third trip where he finally gets the dub.
He lost to the Lakers in 81, right?
Yes.
Yep.
This team is really stacked because it has a lot of ABA guys on it. Because they bought out a lot of the contracts from the ABA. And that's kind of how Dr. J ended up there, etc. Maurice Cheeks, legendary defensive stopping guard. One of the biggest thieves in NBA history. A lot of guys on this team averaging over a steal per game, which is impressive.
Yeah, and
multiple guys averaging more than a block.
Averaging 2 blocks. That's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
So it's a really good defensive team for sure.
And 32-year-old Dr. J, 2 blocks a game in the playoffs. This is insane. But what's their pace? Their playoff pace?
I'm really curious of that.
Is 97.2, which is not that much higher than we're at with the Lakers.
Yeah. Which I'm not for nothing. I think that's like a huge. That's bad for the Sixers. Just because and then I also noticed the Sixers didn't take that many threes.
No, correct.
I think they took like a 1 a game. It's looking like, or something like that, based off the average attempts.
Yeah, 1 a game. Yeah.
So
109 for the whole year.
What was their defense against the threes?
Bottom of the league.
Wow.
But it's hard to say that
because it's not when someone's taking 3. It's not really looked at like that. So
it's such a low percentage of the team shots in general.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
But offensive rating and defensive rating, both top 5 in the league.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Really good.
This was like the Kevin Durant move before Kevin Durant, because most
that's definitely fair.
Because I think they went to the NBA Finals, right? In the year before, and then they picked up Moses that off season.
Right. Yep.
That
crazy. Nobody. Another thing nobody brought up during the Kevin Durant situation.
Yeah. Well, there was people who did, but they were just like so. Like when everyone's yelling and then someone's trying to spit it back, no one's really listening. You know what I mean? Like
that's definitely fair.
Yeah,
that's definitely fucking fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a stat. Give me your prediction. Give me some
first I want to look at Moses Malone's dimensions. That matters so much to me with anybody that's guarding Shaq, because they're like
6'10", 215 pounds, but at least 60 pounds of that is in his butt.
All right, I feel that.
He's got that booty that allowed him to get offensive rebounds.
He squats like 500 probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the only thing. He's 100 pounds lighter than Shaq. That's like, I don't care what anybody says. When you put somebody who's 100 pounds heavier versus someone else, and you just like look at the two, it looks different. Like you just look like one looks like a monster, one doesn't. Like one looks like a normal human being, one looks like a monster. So I think that's important. But also, would you say, because I think this is something that's going to hinder Moses Malone in this series too. If we shoot in 16 threes a game, that means a lot of those shots, like that's some rebounds that he wouldn't be able to get. Like
why?
Because just naturally, when you shoot a 3, it's usually a longer rebound.
Maybe, but that to say like he's definitely not going to get more, like that's I don't know if that's.
I'm just saying that could.
You can't control where the ball bounces. I get what you're saying. Long shots lead to long rebounds. I get that saying, but to be like, oh, he's going to average less rebounds now is a little bit of a stretch.
No, I'm saying like that could be a part that could hinder him. That's all I'm saying. But
I don't know.
For him to have to it's gonna be like sumo wrestling down low with him and Shaq.
Yeah, facts.
Because it's mainly him fighting for position. When it comes to him defending Shaq, Shaq's gonna eat him alive. Like
the fighting for position will be a battle, though, and you could see Shaq being like, "Whatever, man, take it. I don't want to fight this hard for a fucking rebound. I'll just get my bucket later." Like I could see him like not like being a pussy, but just being like, "Man, this guy's trying way too hard at this rebounding thing." Like I don't know. I could see him having that attitude. Like, man, whatever, just take it.
Yeah, I'll go because Shaq just put up 40 versus Kareem. This is like a week later, so he's probably like, Kareem's mattered a lot to me. I don't know if Moses Malone is like that up on my. So I'm giving him like 35 on Moses, probably 35, 38, anywhere between that. Because it's also the NBA Finals too. Because the big thing with Shaq with the NBA Finals was that first Magic Finals. That really like fucked him up in terms of it made him feel like when I get to that point, I have to destroy, I have to dominate.
Yes.
And that's why he just killed it for those 3 years in the finals. So he's probably still going to average 35, 38, still look dominant.
This is important. Like, this is stuff that we haven't really talked about that much when we're doing like LeBron or Jordan's hypotheticals, because most of the time, at least with LeBron, like it just changed from playoffs to regular season. Shaq ramped it up throughout the playoffs even. Like, he would try harder as the playoffs went, to your point. Like, and it being the finals does mean more motivation for Shaq. So I definitely understand why you're bringing that up. And I just wanted to make light of that because we haven't talked about it so much in these hypotheticals where we're valuing this motivating factor for Shaq.
Yeah. Especially, and I really do think that when he's facing elite, and that's why we're trying to put him against all of them, all of the dominant big men of each era, because that honestly is what motivates Shaq. I think.
Yes.
Like even to this day, he talks about it. Like, I wanted to be like the Russells, the Kareems, and stuff like that. Like, he always talks about it. And I think that that's really important when you're having them face those guys. One person he never mentions though is Moses Malone. Is it because he thinks he just dog walk Moses Malone?
Well,
I'm just saying.
You know what? I know for a fact that Moses was still playing while Shaq just emerged into the league. But I wonder how. Hold on.
Yeah, let's see what Shaq did to.
Not in Moses' peak at all, but yeah, I thought so. It was like the last few years. Shaq 40 and 14 just destroyed him.
Yeah. He probably. I honestly have him doing like 35 to 38, anywhere between that, and then anywhere between 10 and 12 rebounds. I think Moses like obviously makes it very difficult for Shaq to get rebounds on him.
Also, look, even at this old advanced age, Moses plays 20 minutes, he gets 7 rebounds. That's the only game that against Shaq where he did not have a lot of rebounds.
Yeah.
Points, I don't think Shaq's going to have a hard time with. Rebounds, I think Shaq has a chance to get maybe 10 or 11. Like, I don't think he's getting more than 11 rebounds a game in this situation, just because I think he's more inclined to care about other shit.
Yeah, especially. I agree. And I think so. Obviously, Shaq doesn't. Shaq still is nothing. He's not diminishing in any way in this series. I still think I don't really see a realm where Kobe can't still give you 30. But in reality, the part that's always gonna bother me is 18 points on threes. Like, that's gonna because that's a huge gap. Like,
no, it is. You're not wrong.
You have to make 9 field goals in order to make up for that. Like, and it's just difficult when you also have someone who's an automatic bucket that's gonna get you the points, and no one's matching up with him in terms of points. Like, at least in the previous series, we had Kareem possibly doing that, but I still felt like he was gonna have trouble with a Shaq. Moses Malone, physicality wise, he might be there. I just think 100 pounds is 100 pounds, especially 100 pounds the way Shaq puts it on you. Like, he's leaning his body, doing that whole like just the elbows and everything. Like, it's just it matters a lot to be 100 pounds lighter than the dude.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I've been 100 pounds lighter than a lot of people I've faced in my life on the court.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
let me tell you something. Not fun. Not fun. Not easy.
Now, and think about it. Like, you've probably faced people who are 100 pounds and probably not as good as you in basketball, but it's more difficult, right?
Oh, way more difficult.
Yeah,
we've talked about the wrestler kid on this podcast before.
Oh yeah,
me having a guard the wrestler kid in college who's just this brick shithouse. Yeah, no, not fun. Yeah. Doesn't know his own strength. And just ends in broken ribs for yours truly.
Yeah, and
not great.
Someone being 100 pounds heavier than you, and he's also better than you. Like
and 7 feet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
fucking
it's too
the
much.
The wrestler kid. At least I had a couple inches on him. I could shoot over him.
Yeah.
Shaq's pretending like I'm not even there. He could probably just palm my skull.
Yeah, Shaq would like literally be confused at what's touching him. If you
100%. Get this fucking flea off me.
Yeah, like
Jesus Christ.
Pest control. Get this shit fuck out of here. Like, get your goofy ass on. All right, so Lakers 4-1. You lucky we ain't full your ass, goofy.
I got Lakers in 6. Just because I like the talent in Philly, but it's the same problem that I feel a little more confident this team could actually get the 2 wins, but I don't know. It would have to be because they played lockup defense, which I think is possible, but not easy.
Yeah.
So I have Shaq and Kobe Lakers in 6 games. Lindsay, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Dario and say Lakers in 5.
5.
Yeah.
Yo, should I get a belt?
Give me a stat line for Shaq.
A stat line for Shaq? Well, I also thought it was really funny how Dario opened up. Like, Shaq just dropped 40 on Kareem, so he's going to go a little bit later. And then he ended his average at 38, which was only like 2 points below. So,
35 to 38.
Yeah, I know, but still. Like, let's take it easy. And then you just do 2 points below.
I just remember Shaq's like how he feels in the finals. Like, I got to wall out in the final. And then I'm like, he might have to get the 38. You're like, yeah.
I don't know. I'll give Shaq like 36 and 12.
Okay, that's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I definitely think Shaq shooting 60% for sure.
Who's defensive? Moses Malone, was he in the defensive player of the year conversation this year?
I don't think
I'm curious
so,
because
sure.
I don't know if people remember this, even though I mention it every single time.
No, Mo Cheeks was though.
Yeah, Mo Cheeks would get Mo dick, bruh. So I don't know why.
Dario, what the fuck, bro?
Sorry, it's not the first 8 seconds.
Perfect.
Be good.
It's not the first 8 seconds.
Get that shit out.
That's what you think until I make this the intro, you bastard. God damn it.
All right, but Shaq put up almost 40 on the defensive player of the year. So in 01, I don't know.
Yeah.
So he's
who was about Kareem's age.
Yeah, exactly. It don't matter. Yo, defensive player of the year, like that still means that you were the best in the league.
You were about to be like, yeah, wait, no, fuck you. Bullshit.
Stop fronting on my boy Shaq. Yo, Shaq, we ain't love you that much in the legacy breakdown, but here we showing you love, man.
Yeah, we're showing you love here because even though I've said previously that I don't think this team is very deep, it doesn't matter until we go past their point of relevance. Yeah. Before this, I really think they are laying semen down across all of the league. Make it sticky to walk. That much semen. Fucking just devastating. Yeah, just hosing it.
You guys are wild with your homoeroticism about these basketball players. Like,
hey,
I hear some of the most man-loving shit with you two talking about basketball players.
That's what I am, a man lover. I love men. I'm with it.
I don't.
Are you sure, Dario? Are you positive, though?
That's different. I love Kobe.
All right.
That's my dad.
We gotta go a couple of years in the future. I gotta go take a shit. So this episode's gotta come to an end.
Oh my god! Like, what the fuck?
Once I take a shit, we can jump back in the time machine. I'll see you guys in the future.
You can't poop.
I got to go to the bathroom.
No, you can't. I have to shower.
That's fine. It's not important. People don't know we live together until now.
You can't poop. I have to shower.
All right. We'll see you guys in a couple of years.
Okay, bye.
Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.